Did you know that almost 50% of people with avoidant attachment style admit to having a mental list of traits of an ideal partner? Someone who meets every need but never makes them feel emotionally overwhelmed? Might seem extreme, but it explains why so many relationships with avoidance feel so confusing and so unpredictable. Avoidants often say that they want love. They say that they want connection. But somehow, it always feels like you are chasing a moving target. And that's why in today's video, we are going to explore the dynamic to help you understand this behavior and how you can navigate it. My name is Luna A. May, and I'm a life and attachment style coach and author of books on attachment styles. And my mission is to help you understand your emotional patterns and build healthy, secure relationships that you truly deserve. And before we dive deeper, I have some exciting news to share with you because my brand new book, Overcoming Avoidant Attachment, has just been released. And you can find the link to this book in the description box below. Now, let's get into today's topic. So you have to know that at the root, avoidants deeply want connection. They just wanted the connection on their terms. They want to feel loved and accepted, but without feeling trapped or emotionally obliged. So they want a partner who can offer closeness, but without making them feel engulfed. In the beginning of the relationship, they often seem fully present. The beginning of the relationship is when dopamine is high and there is this excitement, the thrill of something new, and this distracts them from their fears. So they might idolize their partner, seeing them as everything they've been searching for. They finally found it through love. But what happened next is where many relationships with avoidance start to unravel. Because as the emotional connection deepens, their nervous system begins to react. And suddenly, what once felt exciting starts to feel threatening to them. Emotional intimacy triggers old fears of losing independence, of being controlled, or becoming vulnerable. Avoidants often develop this internal fantasy about the perfect partner, someone who can provide the companionship, the physical closeness, and even emotional support, but without requiring too much emotional connection. They would like a partner who can be there, yet not be too demanding. So someone who can offer warmth without making them feel responsible for their feelings. So essentially, they want intimacy without this emotional risk. But here's the paradox. The very traits that they were drawn at the beginning, traits like warmth, emotional availability, and the closeness that they were craving at the beginning, these traits make them pull away later on in the relationship. So as soon as they feel the emotional stakes rising, they begin to seek flaws in their partner. They start to believe that relationship is too much, that the relation is too complicated, or that their partner is just too emotional for them. And this isn't a conscious manipulation. They don't want it. It's their nervous system trying to protect them from the vulnerability that they are so afraid of. So they start distancing, either by withdrawing emotionally or becoming critical or focusing on superficial qualities that they dislike in the partner. First, there's the idealization phase, where the avoidant is attentive and interested, but they are focused more on the fantasy and not what their partner really represents. And then, when the relationship progresses, the inevitable devaluation begins, where they start to withdraw and become distant or critical. And it's essential to understand this cycle, not just to protect yourself emotionally, but also to avoid personalizing their behavior. Have to know that what avoidants often want, even if they don't admit it, is a partner who can stay emotionally steady without needing constant reassurance or emotional processing together. They want closeness, but only in doses that feel manageable to them. And of course, this puts their partners in a difficult position because their needs for deeper connection and emotional intimacy often clash directly with the avoidance needs for space and independence. So if you are in this kind of relationship dynamic, it's crucial to start shifting the focus back onto yourself. Not in a way that's dismissive of your desire for closeness, but in a way that helps you feel more grounded and clear about your own needs. So you should ask yourself, am I constantly adjusting to keep the peace? Do I feel like I'm always walking on the eggshells, afraid to ask for more? Am I hoping they will change if I'm just patient enough, if I give them more love? These questions can help you begin to see whether the relationship is meeting your emotional needs or whether you've been stuck in a pattern of overfunctioning. At the same time, it's important to recognize that many avoidants aren't consciously trying to harm anyone. Their behavior often comes from a deeper fear of vulnerability and of lifelong pattern of emotional self-protection. And the key here is not to wait for them to change before you decide to honor your own needs. Your role isn't to become the perfect partner they are looking for. They are seeking this in their mind. But your role is to clearly understand what you need to feel secure, valued, and fulfilled. And when you take your focus off managing their behavior and place it back on your own emotional well being, you gain the clarity. You start to see whether the relationship can realistically grow into something healthy or whether it's time to step away. And it's not about punishing them or cutting them off out of anger. It's about protecting your emotional health and choosing relationships that feel reciprocal and nourishing. So if you've ever been wondering what an avoidant really wants from their partner, the answer is really layered. They often want connection, but only at a distance. They want your affection, but only if it doesn't threaten their sense of control. And now let's move to questions that I often get from my clients. So the first one is, what can I do if I feel like I'm always the one that is giving in the relationship and not receiving? So when you feel like you are the only one constantly giving, that's usually a sign that the relationship has become unbalanced. And this often happens in dynamic with avoidant partners. So the first step is to pause and redirect your energy inward. Instead of focusing on how much you're giving to them, start asking yourself, why am I overgiving? What emotional need am I hoping this will meet for me? Because many people overgive because they subconsciously hope it will earn love and approval or security. But in healthy relationships, love is not something you should have to earn through sacrifice or self-abandonment. So shift your focus toward meeting your own emotional needs first. And this doesn't mean that you will stop caring. It just means that you will stop chasing. And when your energy becomes more self-respecting and more balanced, you'll either see the relationship shift naturally or you will gain clarity that it's no longer aligned for you. Another question that I often get is it ever possible to have a healthy long-term relationship with an avoidant partner? And the answer is yes, it is possible, but only under specific conditions. So the avoidant partner needs to be self-aware enough to recognize their own patterns, and he needs to be willing to actively work on them. And that means that they are open to addressing their attachment wounds, to communicating honestly, and slowly building emotional intimacy without shutting down. However, many avoidants aren't ready for that work. And the truth is, a healthy long-term relationship with an avoidant isn't just about their readiness. It also depends on your own boundaries, because you can't force an avoidant to change, but you can decide whether their current version of love aligns with what you're looking for. A healthy relationship isn't just about staying together. It's about both people feeling safe, respected, and emotionally nourished in the relationship. And the last question that is very common is, how do I know when to walk away from an avoidant partner? And you have to know that the moment you realize that being with them consistently leaves you feeling anxious, unseen, or unworthy, that's the clearest sign to reevaluate. If your nervous system feels constantly dysregulated around your partner, if you're endlessly questioning your worth when you are with them, waiting for the breadcrumbs, or trying to prove that you are enough, it's time to step back and ask yourself, is this relationship really meeting my needs? And is this relationship really what I am looking for? And walking away isn't about giving up too soon. It's about recognizing that your peace and emotional health matter more than staying in a cycle that drains you. It's very important. So when you choose to walk away, it's not a punishment to your partner. It's an act of self-respect. And often walking away with clarity and love for yourself creates space for either real change from them or from yourself, or something much healthier to enter to your life. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next one.